Very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. Today is Saturday, the 5th of August 2023. Bringing you the news, I'm Peruni Karunaratna for the News First team. Let's start off with a look at your headlines.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Farmers protest, demanding water for cultivation. Heavy security at the dam of the Samanala Reservoir. Release of water from the Udavala Reservoir further restricted. 15,000 families in Hambantota facing a clean water crisis following the restriction of the water supply from the Kirama Oya. PUCSL responds to the ZEB, says it will not allow profits be generated in an unfair manner. Steps taken to amend water tariffs every 6 months. Royal College Colombo retains the 77th Bradby Shield.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Now in your top story this evening, a heated situation arose at the Samanala Dam on Saturday morning. Farmers of the Vallava agrarian movement, who are facing issues due to the lack of water for cultivation throughout many days, gathered near the Samanala Bund this morning with the aim of getting water.
Udavala Reservoir has started to dry up due to the lack of rain in the mountain range above the Udavala Reservoir for many months. The water of the Udavala Reservoir is used for paddy farming and cultivation of other crops in more than 75,000 acres of land. With the dry climate, paddy fields and other lands will likely dry up due to the lack of water supply. During the past few days, the farmers have been requesting the authorities to release water from the Samanala Reservoir into the Udavala Reservoir. As authorities remain silent regarding the matter, farmers of Vallava gathered near the Samanala Reservoir on Saturday morning with the aim of getting water for their lands. Heavy police presence was observed in the area. The crowd then protested near the access point of the Samanala Reservoir Bund.
There's many ways to generate electricity. There's coal, fuel, use of those methods. Provide us with the water we need for our cultivations. We are urging you not to disturb our peaceful protest. We are here for water. Do not deny us that right. That is all we are asking for. We won't leave until we get the water from the Samanala.
After the protest, the farmers met with the police officers and requested for an appointment with the chief irrigation engineer of the Samanala Reservoir.
We are requesting this very respectfully. There are 8 representatives of farming unions. Let us meet him with the media. If you can't let the media in, you can come with us. We will not disturb your duties. Please give us this chance. We won't leave here without water. I can't assure you if I can fulfill your request. If you can, meet with the relevant factions and obtain the permissions. If you want to see this, then get the permission.
A heated situation arose when the farmers attempted to enter the access point of the Samanala Reservoir Bund, ignoring police orders. Afterwards, the Assistant Superintendent of Police informed that 5 representatives will be given the chance to meet an official and have a discussion on Monday. However, the farmers pointed out that they can't wait for that long and continued the attempts to enter the access point, during which a tense situation arose.
By now, the entire country knows that 66,000 acres of land in which paddy was cultivated are facing the risk of destruction. Also, this is a problem regarding the lives of the people of the Walava zone. Certainly, 15,000 acre-feet can be released. Without doing that, some officers of the Ministry of Power and the Ministry of Irrigation are holding water of the Samanala River without releasing it to the Udawalava reservoir.
මේ සමනලේ වතුර යම් කිසි ප්‍රමාණයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් නම් මේක දීලා අදම මේක ඉවර කරගන්න. නැත්නම් මේ ගොවි ජනතාව ගැන කිසිම බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියන්න එපා.
However, the crowd dispersed after 7 hours of continuous protesting. Meanwhile, the distribution of water from the Udawalava reservoir has been further restricted. This move has been taken due to the extremely dry conditions reported from the area. The engineer in charge of the reservoir, Sujeeva Gunasekar, also said that the efficiency of the reservoir has also dropped to 0.9% due to these reasons. The water released from the reservoir has also been reduced to 350 cubic feet per second. The engineer in charge of the reservoir, Sujeeva Gunasekar, said that the released water capacity is not sufficient for the farmers to nurture their cultivations. He further said that at least a water capacity of 750 cubic feet per second should be released for the farmers to carry out their cultivations. In addition, he said that no decision has yet been reached on the release of water to the left bank. Sujeeva Gunasekar further said that he is awaiting instructions from the Water Management Secretariat to decide on the release of water for cultivation.
Meanwhile, the Agriculture Minister says that the President will be informed of water problems faced by the people in Walava again. Speaking to News First, Minister of Agriculture, Mahinda Amaravira, said all necessary measures will be taken to resolve this issue. He added that he will make a firm request to the President to release the water required for cultivation. The Minister expressed his views on the current issues in Matale today. Solutions must be provided to the issues of farmers in Udawalava. They are fighting for their rights. We are using the water that came from Udawalava reservoir to Samanala River for electricity generation. We must not let farming be affected. This problem has reached a critical stage right now.
Irrigation Minister Roshan Ranasinghe explained how the government should deal with the water crisis in Polonnaruwa on Friday.
When releasing water, drinking water must be prioritized. Agriculture should be the second priority and electricity comes after all of that. We are now serving the people of this country because our parents cultivated paddy and provided us with rice. We can't forget that. If the President, speaking about the water crisis, asks me to step down from my position as the minister, I am ready for that. If the farmers take to the streets, it will create a serious problem. Some people don't understand this. It is possible to release water from the Samanala River for 20 days without any electricity disruption. I saw the Citizen Media Network repeatedly highlighting a story about an emergency electricity purchase. If plans are being made to purchase electricity because of the drought, Minister Amaravira and myself requested the Cabinet to release water from the Samanala River 3 weeks ago. The Minister of Power and Energy had to first use the water of the Samanala River if they are planning to purchase electricity. If they did so, the farmlands will also be protected. In the future, if we have to purchase electricity because of the drought, why are they disrupting the cultivation and purchasing electricity later? I am disappointed. The Citizen Media Network, publicizing accurate information, reported a disclosed corrupt project to purchase electricity. As ministers, we are not supporting such corrupt projects. We won't let that happen. If the problem now is getting the water off the Samanala River, then the agriculture can be saved by purchasing electricity. I would take any decision on behalf of the farmers. There is no difference in my stance. The farmers must be given water. I don't like the government to be destroyed by changing my stance on this as well. This is the truth.
The the Kilinochchi and Batticaloa agrarian unions convened a media briefing on Saturday to express their support to the Walava farmers. They are stressing that the government has committed an economic crime.
Ranil's government not giving water from the Udawalava Dam to the people is a crime. We are supporting the Walava farmers from Kilinochchi. 25,000 hectares have been used for cultivations. Keeping water for electricity, destroying paddy fields is an economic crime. Former president created the fertilizer issue and put us in trouble for 2 years. To generate electricity, there is diesel, renewable energies and coal. When there are all of these sources, why are they keeping water to generate electricity? We suspect that there is an agenda behind this. Leave providing compensations aside, the government should be protecting the paddy fields of the people. Putting the farmers in trouble, if the government is trying to benefit from such actions, will not last long.
The leader of the Batticaloa indigenous people, Nalathambi Velayudam, made the following remarks at an event held on Saturday.
I urge you to release the water to the Udawalava reservoir. The farmers are suffering because of this. 25,000 hectares of paddy fields are facing the risk of destruction. The people of the country will also be affected by this. So I am kindly requesting the government and the agriculture minister to protect the farmers and the lives of the people and to protect the country as well.
The current dry climate has brought upon a water crisis in the Hambantota district. Since the water of the Kiramoya has been restricted, the distribution of drinking water has been suspended for more than 15,000 families in several areas, including Tangol and Beliatta.
Water is distributed to the Kiramoya from the Kirama reservoir as well as the Kakiri Obada reservoir in Hambantota. More than 6,000 acres of paddy fields is sustained through the Kiramoya. In order to sustain these fields, about 2,500 acre-feet of water should be released. However, currently only 1,300 acre-feet of water capacity exists in the Kirama reservoir and the Kakiri Obada reservoir. Therefore, the farmers have crossed the Anikats to retain water for their farmlands. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board had to temporarily suspend the supply of drinking water provided to more than 15,000 families for 3 days. These families use water distributed from the Kiramoya for their daily activities. According to our correspondent, as a result, the water supply to the Tangol Base Hospital has also been halted. People are now emptying a well. We haven't experienced this kind of a situation in 15 to 20 years. We don't have enough water to fulfill our needs. They should distribute water in a bowser at least. It is not like this country doesn't have water. We are telling everyone who is responsible for this to please take responsibility and to provide a solution. If not, we will have to take extreme measures as citizens.
The Sri Lanka Podu Jana Peramuna Bala Mandala meeting of the Matugam electorate was held on Saturday.
We never thought that the Rajapakshas will be considered as thieves in this country. I never thought that people of this country could be lined up against Mahinda Rajapaksha. We are also human. Whenever the problems come to them or whenever they were in trouble, people who were with us might have said that this was Rohitha and not them. People who were with me had said that they had told me. But you and I were both with Mahinda Rajapaksha. Many people are asking why I am wearing a green t-shirt. Keep in mind that I love the color green. But I would like to remind you that only the color maroon, the color of the SLPP, runs in Rohitha's blood. We love that leader. We are continuing politics with that leader. The 2024 presidential elections are coming up. If you roam around Colombo, you can find many candidates. There are many candidates like that. But you and I and the SLPP has an identity. We will reveal the candidate from the SLPP on time.
News First with the people.
News First. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Democracy is threatened in our country. On the other hand, the fact that we are able to talk like this, talk freely like this, is a sign that it is still alive.
They have planned to suppress the leaders who are talking about these issues. As a trade union leaders and as people of the country, we have a right to talk. We have right. It's a democratic country.
Last year, despite the repression, people just came out to the streets and didn't go home, didn't want to just take a back seat.
The caliber of men I saw in the 70s was quite different. It's a world of difference, right? They were people who were very responsible. Fortunately, in Parliament, we don't see that kind of leader. They are sometimes sleeping, snoring.
Face the Nation, Wednesday nights at 9:30 on TV1.
There is a question of legitimacy, there is a question of whether or not they have the people's mandate.
Present government doesn't have such a mandate.
I think Sri Lankans have to get out of this kind of thinking because when they go to the polls for a presidential election, they always think that, if we put somebody X or Y, they'll pull the country out of the mess, we'll be okay, and so forth and so on.
Because some policies are required to be quickly changed according to the changes.
By doing these emergency purchasings, because we are doing those things in a hurry, so this can affect badly to the quality of these drugs.
We have really an opportunity because Asia is growing, India is growing very, very speedily, India is growing, and we have an opportunity.
Newsline, Monday to Friday at 8:30 p.m. on TV1.
Welcome back. The access to clean water is vital for human survival. At present, Sri Lankan farmers are facing a plethora of issues without access to water for their cultivations. Now, the past few months have seen the Gammadda movement accelerate its work in rural Sri Lanka. This has included opening many clean water plants across the country. The foundation stone for another clean water plant was laid today in Kuda Bellankadavala, Thambutthegama. Nearly 120 families live in the Kuda Bellankadavala village in Thambutthegama in the Anuradhapura district. And for many years, they have been desperately asking for just one thing: clean water. The answer was always deafening silence, which meant that many have to walk nearly 8 kilometers daily in search of clean water to drink. Can you imagine going through this every single day? The Gammadda team found this village while walking from home to home in 2022. Today, a few months later, a foundation stone was laid for the construction of a water purification plant that will serve this impoverished community. The Mahasangha, government officials, villagers, head of the Thambutthegama Community Police Unit, Ruwani Jayaratna, Gramaniladari Officer J.A. Jayasekara, Lieutenant Commander Dushanta Sirimevan of the Navy, and many others were present for this occasion. The project was ceremonially inaugurated along with traditional religious blessings.
The Gammadda movement is here today to do something precautious to us. The kidney disease torments these villagers, but the clean water Gammadda will provide will save the lives of our people.
Performances by children of the village added color to the celebration. This clean drinking water water project was given life to by a kind donor who works closely with Gammadda, while expert technical assistance is, as always, provided by the Sri Lankan Navy.
The past few months saw Gammadda accelerate its development drive, completing clean water projects in areas like Monaragala, Kurunagala, Matale, Putlam, Gaul, Karulagaswava and many more. Today, as we begin this clean water project here in rural Anuradhapura, we would like to make an appeal to those in positions of power. Today, the impoverished farmers of the south, dependent on the Udavalava for irrigation, are begging that water be released for their cultivations. They've been reduced to protesting on the streets now. It is our humble request that the authorities release the water they so desperately need. Please don't make them suffer any more than they already are. Their appeals are legitimate and their need is urgent. It is not a weakness of leadership to be sensitive to the cries of innocent people.
Gotrika mudubimak ite hage ratak nemei. Api gotrika mudubimak nemei.
As you watch this report, think about how easy it is for you to have a glass of water when thirsty. And now, think about the millions of Sri Lankans for whom clean water is but a distant dream. It is you, the people, who have helped bridge this gap. And Gammadda salutes the ordinary people of Sri Lanka for strengthening the movement in our quest to serve those who need it the most. Gammadda, by the people, for the people. Up next is Action TV.
Last Thursday, News First reported on a ministerial discussion that has taken place on the need for an emergency spot purchasing of electricity in order to have an uninterrupted power supply to the public. In order to do so, the CEB has proposed to increase the electricity tariffs once again. Last Wednesday, Minister of Sports, attending a media conference at the Presidential Secretariat, also emphasized the need for an emergency electricity spot purchase to have an uninterrupted power supply. 20 days after it was decided to lower the electricity tariff by 14% on the 21st of July, the General Manager of the Ceylon Electricity Board, in a letter addressed to the Director General of the Public Utilities Commission, requested the Commission to grant permission to increase electricity tariffs once again, and in this letter the General Manager of the CEB has cited three main reasons for his request. The CEB has requested permission to increase the electricity tariffs once again, stating that there is an urgent need to purchase 500 gigawatt hours of electricity to pay creditors of the CEB and to reduce the 35 billion rupee deficit. In reply to this request on the 28th of July 2023, the Director General of Public Utilities Commission in a letter informed the General Manager of the Ceylon Electricity Board with figures that their request cannot be granted since the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka is established to regulate the unnecessary gains made of companies in the guise of providing a service to the public. The Director General has also reminded the Ceylon Electricity Board of the decision made by the Commission to decrease the electricity tariffs by 3% from the 1st of July after examining the financial data provided to the Commission by the Electricity Board. According to this data provided by the Electricity Board, during the last 6 months, the total estimated expense of the Electricity Board was 280.46 billion rupees. This includes the expense for the proposed 15 billion loan to pay off the creditors of the CEB with an interest of 25.5%. The Ceylon Electricity Board itself has accepted that owing to the tariff revision that took place on the 15th of May, the board has been able to reduce the 12 billion rupees they spent on fossil fuels for the generation of electricity. Owing to this, the total estimated expense of the CEB was then reduced to 268 billion rupees. Even still, after considering the data provided by the board, the PUCSL has allowed the board to generate an income of 293 billion rupees during the last 2 quarters of the year. This means the Commission has allowed the CEB board to earn a profit of close to 25 billion rupees during the last 2 quarters of the year. While appreciating the proposal made by the CEB to decrease the electricity tariff by 3%, the PUCSL pointed out that the tariffs can be reduced by 14% and not just by 3%. Does this mean the decision taken by the PUCSL to reduce the electricity tariff by 14% instead of the proposed 3% is wrong? If this decision is wrong, why did the Director General of the Ceylon Electricity Board, in his letter requesting to increase the electricity tariffs once again, praise the earlier decision taken by the Commission to reduce the electricity tariffs by 14%? It should also be noted that there is no need for the cabinet to expedite the emergency spot purchasing of electricity because the general manager of the Ceylon Electricity Board himself has stated to several newspapers that sufficient electricity to the country can be generated through hydropower plants and that there is no much effect of the prevailing weather for the generation of power. Can anyone justify these tricks played by our leaders to fill their pockets while depriving the innocent citizens of this country their basic rights? Meanwhile, the CEB Workers Union says that there is no shortage of electricity generated within the country. There is no shortage of electricity generated in the country. Our demand is 2,300 megawatts. We already generate 4,000 megawatts. If our supply is 4,000 and our demand is just 2,300, we can surely supply the demand. We think that they are trying for a way to make an emergency spot purchase for electricity. In the long run, they are laying the groundwork to start the AS Ambilipitia and to enter into some contracts with them. As trade unions, we feel that they are trying to create a crisis as a cover story to start this project. A mafia is in control here.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa alerts that emergency spot purchasing of electricity in the guise of providing the public an uninterrupted power supply will also open doors for more corruption.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa expressed these views after paying homage to the temple of the Tooth Relic this morning.
Not only the energy sector in the country, if you take a look at the country as a whole, you will see that this government is involved with corruption since its inception and has always deceived the citizens. We saw how agile the government was when they wanted to disconnect the power supply to the ancient Meentale sacred site. But then we have a political leader who has to pay 2.6 million rupees to the electricity board for the electricity he used to hold a private function at his residence. Did they disconnect the power to this house? Why didn't they do so? Does this mean that the politician's house is more important than the ancient Meentale sacred site?
The
electricity tariff will increase for sure. While they increase the tariff, they will say that there is a need to purchase more electricity to have an uninterrupted power supply. While they do these emergency purchases, they will surely fill their pockets with more dollars. While SLPP MP Namal Rajapaksa responded to the allegations made by the National Executive Member of the Jatika Jana Balawega, Nalin Hevage, regarding an unpaid electricity bill. I saw that yesterday opposition leader Sajid Premadasa has settled the electricity bill of the Meentale sacred site. I am thankful to him for that. Even though we are divided as politicians, I must respect his good deeds. But on the other hand, I saw that he has made a comment with regard to the electricity bill for my wedding. It was reported by the media. I have been married for more than 5 years. I am expecting my second child in a few months. But they are only talking about my electricity bill. I sent a letter to the electricity board through my secretary. To this day, I haven't received an electricity bill under my or my father's name. If there is something like that, they must send it straight to me. Then I will pay it. The people who are talking about my electricity bill today used to tell me that I had $18 billion, 16 Lamborghinis, and that I had a horse made of gold. They said that I sent money to Uganda. According to them, if I did do all of that, I don't have any issues when it comes to paying this electricity bill. We are doing politics following our principles. We don't need to insult.
The Ministry of Water Supply and Estate Infrastructure Development says that steps will be taken to revise water tariffs once in every 6 months. Its Secretary RMWS Samara Divakara said that steps will be taken to introduce a price formula for that. Now, the price formula will be derived based on the cost of water treatment, such as electricity bills and cost of chemical substances. He added that the water tariff will be revised once in every 6 months according to these expenses. Samara Divakara said that if the electricity tariff is reduced in the future, the water tariff may also be reduced. Meanwhile, the water tariffs were increased to be effective from the 1st of August 2023. In the new tariff revision, the tariffs have been increased by a higher percentage for household units with low water consumption and a lower percentage for houses with high consumption. Meanwhile, a special program was held commemorating the Day of Exploitation at the Pakistan Embassy on Saturday. The Yawm Istisal, or the Day of Exploitation, held every year on the 5th of August in Pakistan, marks the day of the siege of the Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and aims to express solidarity with the oppressed Kashmiri people. The 4th anniversary of this event was held on Saturday. High Commissioner of Pakistan to Sri Lanka, Major General Umar Farooq Burki, were among those who attended the event.
It is a day when we must come together to express solidarity with the people of Kashmir and call for an end to their plight. The international community cannot remain indifferent to the situation in Kashmir. It is our collective responsibility to stand up for justice and human rights. We also call upon the global community to take concrete actions to address the Kashmir issues. To the people of Kashmir, we say, your struggle is not in vain. Your resilience and courage have inspired the world, and we stand with you in your quest for justice and freedom.
Moreover, special messages from President His Excellency Dr. Arif Alvi, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Foreign Minister of Pakistan Bilawal Bhutto were read out for the audience, highlighting the resolve of Pakistan to support the Kashmir cause till it is resolved in accordance with the UN Security Council resolutions.
And share his views with us.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the standard of past architecture in this country, which has gifted the world with great designs, should be restored.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe made these remarks at an international conference on architecture which was organized by the Royal Institute of British Architects chapter in Sri Lanka in collaboration with the American Institute of Architects and the Italian Embassy of Sri Lanka under the theme Architecture, a Lasting Impact, which was held on Saturday morning in Colombo. A group of 350 people, including architects of Sri Lanka and Southeast Asian nations, attended the meeting.
The construction, we'd like to see it start again, but it won't come to the level it was earlier. And we have also to promote our construction companies to look abroad for work. But there will be other areas which will come up because our policy thrust is to get the private sector in on the areas of construction of buildings, of houses that come along. These are some of the ideas, and as the economy picks up, certainly there will be more skyscrapers, more high-rise buildings and more houses which people will build. We can make Colombo a very beautiful city. Already Subhan Ajurong has given us that plan. So on that we go ahead.
The third day of the second leg of the LOLC Divi Savya program got underway today, centering the Dehi Ovita Education Zone. The second leg of the LOLC Divi Savya program targets Sri Lankan schools with less than 100 students.
In the first leg of the LOLC Divisavya program, school books and stationery items were provided to 1,387 schools with less than 50 students. The second leg of the LOLC Divisavya will provide school books and stationery items to 1,508 schools with less than 100 students. Students will be provided school books and stationery for a period of 1 year under the program. This worthy initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC Group and the Ministry of Education. Students from schools including Yogama Model Junior School, Pannila Veerasinghe Junior School were gifted school books and stationery items. Another Divisavya team distributed school books and stationery items to the students of Maniyangama Primary School, Talumpitiya Primary School, Kamburapala Junior School and Moravatta Junior School. Several more school students were provided with school books and stationery items at the Dehi Ovita Zonal Education Office. The LOLC Divisavya program will continue to create a bright future for the country's student population.
Be the first to know about the biggest stories as they break. Subscribe to News First English News Alerts. News First, your trusted English news channel.
In international news, ousted Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan was on Saturday sentenced to 3 years in jail and banned from participating in politics for 5 years for allegedly selling state gifts. According to Pakistan media, the judge announced that involvement in corrupt practices have been proven. He said he will appeal the conviction. The 70-year-old cricketer turned politician was accused of misusing his premiership minister from 2018 to 2022 to buy and sell gifts in state possession that were received during visits abroad and worth more than 140 million Pakistani rupees. Khan was not in court for the hearing, but the Reuters news agency reported that his lawyer and the former Prime Minister had been arrested in Lahore. Over 150 cases were brought against him since he was ousted in April last year. Khan has denied any wrongdoing, saying the charges are politically motivated. Legal experts say a conviction in the case could end his chances of participating in the national elections that have to be held before early November. Khan's political party Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf said in a statement it had already filed an appeal in the country's Supreme Court. Pakistani media reported on Friday that meanwhile Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif told a meeting of his political allies that he will dissolve the National Assembly on the 9th of August in preparation for scheduled October elections. A caretaker government would be appointed to govern the country until then. Pakistan is preparing for parliamentary elections and polls in 2 of its 4 provinces, Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, after many months of violent confrontations between supporters of various political parties. A suicide bombing at a political rally last week killed 64 people. The country is mired in a serious economic crisis. But the International Monetary Fund and several Middle Eastern nations have stepped in to ensure that the danger of a Sri Lanka-style bankruptcy does not happen, since the government approached donors and creditors at an early stage. The dissolution will come 3 days short of the present government completing 3 years in office after ousting then Prime Minister Imran Khan, who is now the opposition leader. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu on Friday asked the country's Senate to approve possible military action against neighboring Niger as the clock ticks down to Sunday's deadline set by West African states for Niger's military leaders to reinstate the civilian president they ousted in last week's coup.
Military chiefs of the 11 nations of the Economic Community of African States, or ECOWAS, that are ruled by democratic governments met for several days this week in Nigeria and announced on Friday that they have drawn up a plan of action. Nigeria's tough stance came despite the military rulers of neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso siding with Niger and warning that military action against Niger would be considered as a declaration of war on their countries as well. Nigeria is the strongest state in the West African region, both economically and military, and has over 230 million of the region's 400 million people. President Tinubu is also currently the chairman of the ECOWAS, which issued the ultimatum to Niger's coup leaders. Nigeria has an army of 230,000 soldiers, while Niger has just 25,000. Nigeria's Air Force has 35 jet combat aircraft, while Niger has only 2. Mali and Burkina Faso have each less than 10,000 soldiers, while their air forces lack any jet combat aircraft. However, Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso all have less trained and equipped militias to support their armies. Nigeria, which supplies over 70% of Niger's electricity supply, on Wednesday cut the power supply as part of the economic sanctions laid down by the Economic Community of African States. Meanwhile, Niger's coup leaders rejected the latest peace mission and refused to meet with the negotiation team led by former Nigerian President General Abubakar, which landed in the Niger's capital Niamey but returned when the coup leaders refused to meet them.
Meanwhile, U.S. media reported that former U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday pleaded not guilty to 3 additional charges in a Florida court with regard to mishandling classified documents that he is alleged to have illegally kept with him after he left the presidency. Trump was earlier charged with 37 counts in this case and has pleaded not guilty. The trial is set to commence in May 2024. The charges were brought by special counsel Jack Smith, who is investigating a mob attack on the Capitol in an attempt to prevent the vice president from officially certifying the election result. US media reported that he appeared before a magistrate in Washington, D.C. on Thursday and pleaded not guilty to 4 criminal charges that he attempted to overturn the result of the 2020 presidential election. He will next appear in court at a procedural hearing on the 28th of August 2023. Royal College Colombo retained the Bradby Shield after recording a 27-17 over Trinity College Kandy in the second leg of the 77th encounter at Reed Avenue.
The historic Bradby Shield annual rugby encounter was held for the 77th time on Saturday. With a 7-point victory margin, Royal College was able to overturn the 3-point deficit they had after losing the first leg 13-10 in Kandy 2 weeks ago, winning 37-30 on aggregate. Royalists took the lead in the first half with 17-10 points. In the first half, the Trinity players could score only 10 points. Royalists scored another 10 points with 2 tries in the second half, while Trinitians were only able to score 7 points. Accordingly, Royal College Colombo won the match with 37-30 points, and this is the 5th consecutive time that they have won the Bradby Shield.
And that's a wrap of this Saturday's edition of Primetime News. I'm Theruni Karuna Ratna for the News First team. Thank you for watching. Take care and good night.